Hi everyone, Ryan here from Fight Game Analysis, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about the upcoming fight between Colby Covington and Dustin Poirier. But before we jump into that, if you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and click on the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Alright, so we've been seeing some back and forth in the media between these two. We've been seeing Dustin Poirier and Colby Covington going at it. Used to train down at American Top Team together, got a little bit of history, and there's been some bad blood, right? There's been, each man has said some unkind things about the other. Colby Covington calling for that fight. Dustin Poirier saying he's not going to take it. And then all of a sudden, something changes. Something clicks. Dustin Poirier puts out the tweet and says, I accept. July 30th. Colby Covington, let's make this happen. Now, Colby Covington hasn't responded. But I don't know. I'm apt to believe that this is a fight that can happen. If both these guys want to make it happen, I think that the buzz will be there. I think the intrigue is there. I think the UFC will allow it to happen. I think they'll make it up at 170 pounds, obviously. I don't think Colby Covington has any chance of coming down to 155. Poirier is a bigger guy for the division at 155 anyway, so I think that he'll be able to make 170 and kind of, look good there, fill out for the weight. So it's a fight that should happen. The money will be there. It's a fight that should happen in every way, I imagine. Even though it hasn't been signed yet, I think it's one that we're going to see. Now, that being said, bad move for Dustin Poirier, in my opinion. Bad move. I think he's taking this one out of emotion. I think he's taking this one because he's riding high in some regards. I think he wants to go in there and actually get him up and punch Colby Covington in the face. I just think he wants it from that aspect. He wants to get paid to do it. I'm a professional fighter. I can't stand this guy anyways. He's fake. I hate what he stands for and represents, blah, blah, blah. I want to go and make this fight happen. I believe all of those things. But I think it's bad for him, man. Number one, styles make fights. Number two, weight divisions exist for a reason. Dustin Poirier used to be able to make 145 pounds early in his career. And I get it. That cut was nasty. He was draining himself. He had to move to 155 to thrive. But I don't even think Colby Covington could make 155, much less 145. He's just a bigger guy. He's just a bigger man. He's just good. He competes at a bigger weight class against bigger guys. What do you think would happen if Dustin Poirier was to lock in there for 10 rounds against Usman? Because Colby Covington was able to go in there and handle it. Yeah, he got stopped in the first one at the very end. The second one went to the decision. But whether or not you feel, how you feel Usman did, how much he dominated, deserved the victory, all those things. Because I do. Usman earned those victories. I'm not saying that Colby, it was a bad decision or Covington should have won or anything like that. But what I'm saying is this. Colby Covington went out there and looked good in a lot of spots. He went out there and held his own in a lot of spots in when it came to the striking, the grappling, whatever it may be over the course of this fight. How do you think Dustin Poirier would look against Usman at 170 pounds? Because I think he'd probably get ran over. I think he wouldn't be big enough. I don't think he'd be strong enough. When it comes to the hands, the boxing, his skills are there. But Usman is a lot stronger. He's a lot longer. He's got an incredibly underrated jab that he's just going to be sticking in your face all night that I don't think Poirier's going to be able to close that distance, right? He'd be around on the outside. I just don't think it would go well. And I get that MMA math doesn't work. Fighter A beats B, B beats C, so that means A can beat C. That's not, but my point is, using that Usman fight as kind of this hypothetical barometer, I think we can start to imagine why there's this weight, why weight divisions exist, and what Colby Covington could potentially go in there and do to Dustin Poirier. Right? Think about that a little bit. This isn't a kickboxing match. I think in striking matches, kickboxing or boxing, but I think when we're talking about striking, weight divisions absolutely matter. We saw that just recently with Canelo Alvarez moving up to 175 pounds. He was fighting a bigger man, an incredibly skilled man in Bivol, and those weight divisions came into play. We saw that happen. But the reason I bring it up is, even though they make a difference in striking, I think they make a little bit less of a difference than the weight divisions that we see when it comes to grappling. I think it takes less weight to make a difference in grappling. When you're talking about the jump from 155 pounds all the way up to 170, you're dealing with a man who cuts weight to make 170 pounds. You're dealing with a man who was a collegiate wrestler, dominates with his grappling and his wrestling at 170 pounds, goes in there and competes with guys like Usman at 170 pounds. I think he is going to blow through Dustin Poirier when it comes to grappling in that fight. I don't even think Dustin Poirier, he's got a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man. His submissions are slick. He knows what he's doing. I don't take anything from him. But we're talking about going in there against Colby Covington at 170 pounds. Colby's bigger. He's stronger. I think he's got cardio for 15 rounds. Like, man, that is going to be an uphill battle. That is going to be swimming uphill all day. I think that when it comes to the grappling, Dustin Poirier is going to find himself in a whole lot of trouble, man. Probably going to be gassed like midway through the third round after he's just getting swamped with that relentless pressure. I mean, look, if this was a kickboxing fight, or if even this was just a boxing match, I'd probably go with Dustin Poirier. I think his hands are a little bit better. I think his striking overall is a little bit better. He understands the countering. He understands distance a little bit more. He knows how to back up, and when he shoots, he knows how to mix in his shots a little bit better. Like, even though he'd be at a size disadvantage, technique-wise, I think he's better. Skill-wise, I think his striking is better. But when it comes to that wrestling, not even close. Colby Covington is a very, very accomplished wrestler, very good wrestler, and Dustin Poirier is a guy who he'll get dominated with the wrestling. He'll get dominated with the grappling against guys like that. That's how we saw that. I mean, we saw what happened against Khabib, and I get that that's Khabib, but that was Khabib at 155 pounds, just being aggressive and mauling. Now we're thinking about Colby Covington, who likes to be aggressive and mauling with incredible cardio, but he's up a division. Right? So even if you look and you're like, yeah, well, that's Khabib. Khabib's got way better wrestling and way better grappling than Colby Covington does. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm not arguing that with you, but what I'm saying is Colby Covington's 15 pounds bigger. Colby Covington's at 170 pounds, and that's going to make a big difference too. So I think this fight's coming out of emotion. I think, and that being said, let me also say this. Colby Covington will land some left hands while they're in there, man. He can crack. His striking is getting a little bit better as well. He's continuing to progress. He's no longer just that one-trick pony that he was when we first saw him come into the game. He now has the wrestling. He's always had 3 lungs with the incredible cardio. But we also see him getting better and better with the striking. We also see that improving. So even though I think Dustin Poirier clearly has an advantage in that department, overall, when we look at the scope of an entire MMA fight, man, he is in trouble if you ask me. So I do not think this is a good pick. I'm agreeing with Michael Bisping on that one. You know, it was funny. Dustin Poirier's head coach over at ATT, Mike Brown, came out and he said, hey, DP, I don't know if you necessarily want to take this fight. I don't know if this is necessarily a good one. I think you can win it. I'm not saying it from a skills perspective, but Colby Covington likes to talk real crazy, man. He likes to say a lot of things in the media building up to this. Already has been saying a few things here and there. Is that something you want to put your daughter through, your wife through? Is that something that you want to deal with as far as from a family perspective? Maybe you don't want to take it. But of course, Poirier already went out there. He jumped up. He took the fight. It's already going to happen in that regard. I highly doubt he's going to pull it back. But it is one more aspect to think about, right? It is one more thing that you have to consider when you're talking about this fight is the fact that that emotional standpoint in the build-up to the fight, like the month build-up before this fight, when Colby Covington's over there and he's running his mouth and he's talking crazy, like Dustin Poirier's talked before about anxiety he feels going into fights, right? He's talked about kind of the pressure and the build-up and how he's not really a fan of it. He just wants to get in there and fight, right? It's one thing when you're up there against Conor McGregor. That's a different kind of trash talking, different type of thing, different type of spotlight. But now he's going in there against a guy who's just like, who irritates him, man, like really irks him, really gets to him. That's why he's taking this fight anyways, in my opinion. It's from an emotional standpoint of wanting to fight him. And now you're going to be in there at press conferences and in the media asking questions from that same guy over and over and over again, all the way into the build up to this fight. Now, will that affect Dustin Poirier negatively? I don't know. Quite possibly. But I can guarantee you that it's not going to help him. So I think he's going here in a disadvantage in a lot of different areas. I think this is going to kind of be easy money for Colby Covington. And that's crazy to say because how could Dustin Poirier be easy money for anybody? But man, oh man, I think this is going to be a tough one. So let me know what you guys think. Am I seeing this one kind of wrong? Is DP going to be able to move up to 170 pounds and do a little bit better than I thought? Or is this going to be a situation where afterwards, and we see Colby Covington run through him, we're going to say, of course he did. Of course Colby Covington ran through him. He was a smaller man at 155 pounds moving up. Whoever thought that he was going to do better than that? So let me know what you guys think.